all want to make money by doing something we love. If you could turn your hobby into your job, you'd never work a day in your life, right? Welcome to Hobby Hustle, the ultimate podcast where collecting passion and business collide. Now, here's your host, Zach Nygett.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 28 of Hobby Hustle. I am your host, Zach Nygett, and thank you for taking time to spend with us. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. No matter if you're a new member or you've been with us for a while, please be sure to like, subscribe, rate us, and of course, share with your friends. Also, if you're watching on YouTube, please leave a comment and share any thoughts or suggestions you have. I greatly appreciate your support, and I hope you enjoyed today's show. It's a new year, so I thought we'd try something new in 2025. So today we're going to mix it up by having not one, but two guests on the show. And while I want to learn a little bit about their collecting history, the main focus will be to talk about the 2024 card show circuit, including the good and the bad, plus what we're looking forward to here ahead in 2025. So go ahead, sit back, grab a drink, and I hope you enjoy this card show roundtable discussion. I'm honored to welcome two amazing collectors and even better people to this show. First, a retired Army sergeant, content creator, breaker, and passionate collector, Mr. Alex Tressler. You can find him on IG at ArmyATC22. Mr. Alex, welcome, sir. And second, he's a passionate collector, director of marketing and best card shop, and a content creator himself. You can find him on IG at ISawSasquatch. Please welcome Ryan Curtis to the show. Gentlemen, I am so happy to have you here. I appreciate you taking time, and I'm sorry I don't have like pyrotechnics and like all sorts of cool stuff to do the intro for you, but you know, that was what I got.
Ryan, you just got to walk around with no shirt off so they can find Sasquatch themselves.
I'm not hairy under here. I keep saying it.
There you go. That's awesome. Well, guys, obviously, you know, we're off to a new start with the new year. So NFL playoffs are in full swing. I want your Super Bowl predictions. Alex, who do you got?
Super Bowl prediction is going to be the Ravens over the Lions.
Raven. Okay, I like it. Ryan, who do you have?
I have Lions over the Bills.
Lions over the Bills. All right. And I'm going to take, oh man, I want the Lions to be there. I don't want them to be there, but I think
I do. Like, you got to feel bad for
He's a Chicago guy, so
I'm a Chicago guy, man. I can only, like, I want to get them to the Super Bowl, but I don't want them to win.
You want them to lose on the biggest stage.
Yes, exactly. So I'm going to go, you know what? I'll be a total lame guy, and I'm going to say the Chiefs 3-peat over the Lions. We'll see.
But that's what the script says, so you're correct.
Oh, perfect. Well, then I'm good. And I didn't even have to read it. All right. That's awesome. Well, guys, I'm honored to have you here. As I said, you know, in the intro, this is the first time I've done a 3-person menage pod. So, you know, we'll see how this goes, you know, so the audience needs to bear with me as I technically try to run this, but I'm just excited to have you guys on. So, you know, before we sort of dive into the card show circuit and stuff, I want to stay a little bit on format, and I like to ask all my guests sort of about their, you know, collecting history. So Alex, I will let you go first, but could you tell me a little bit sort of about some of those early memories that you have?
Yeah. So the early memories I have is, you know, a lot of it deals with, you know, me and my father, my brother, you know, just going to the local card shop, going to the local show that we had right there in town. And it was more of collecting the UPCs off of like Post Cereal and sending them in and getting little sets back from, you know, the cereal companies and stuff like that, coming together and doing that type of stuff. And then it just stopped. Like, I got, you know, straight Men in Black with the lovely machine that they have, and nothing happened. I tell everyone it's pretty much probably when I did start doing more sports and I found out that there was girls in the whole world, and it's called, you know, growing up.
Growing and changing, they call it these days.
Correct. Right. But the thing is like, I look back at that, you know, and be like, wow, you know, I just kind of just left to the wayside. You don't see that today. You see so many collectors in that range of their preteens and everything else that are highly, you know, included in this hobby. And I love seeing that. But then I got back into it, you know, in adult years around, you know, 17 years ago. Went through some bad things in my life. I needed something to take my mind off of it and everything else. And I just came back into the hobby full force. and I haven't looked back since.
That's awesome, man. And obviously you've gone from the UPC collector packs, which I remember sending all that stuff in, to some really cool cards these days. So can you tell us a little bit about how your collection's evolved into sort of what you're into today?
Yeah. So when I first got back to it as an adult, and I like majority of people just like, okay, I'm a diehard Dolphins fan, diehard Nationals fan. So I'm just like, I'm collecting everything I can possibly of those teams. Then I realized I'm like, there is too much of those teams. It's like I can't house it all. So I decided to go the route of, instead of collecting, the card route with that stuff, it's more of full size memorabilia for, signed jerseys, 8x10s, full size helmets, and everything that route. More of, just card related, I started going the route of all the, the cards that everyone knows that are iconic, like the Griffey rookie, and Walter Payton rookie, Tiger rookie, and one of all those. So I just have a collection of it. But when it breaks down to someone that constantly is having cards later down the road, of course, with my military ties, got into Pat Tillman. I joined the Army before 9/11, and he sacrificed by leaving the Army after 9/11. I mean, leaving the NFL after 9/11 and joining the Army, and then lost his life. But he is that player that one, doesn't have as many cards as, say, like Trevor Lawrence, right? I don't have to worry about trying to get a million different cards. However, they, certain sets have tons of parallels. We're looking at you, Prism. And so that helps with the hunt. That helps with me trying to find that stuff and everything. So I'm not just sitting around just like twiddling my thumbs, just trying to find the next, little, jersey card or what else like that of him. I'm actually, hunting and getting connections with a lot of people. I have daily just like 5 or 6 messages saying, hey, have you seen this card on Facebook? Have you seen this on Instagram? Someone's selling this card. I'm like, yeah, I appreciate it. I already have it. So yeah.
Yeah, there's only a couple that you're still on the lookout for, huh?
Well, so for the 2021 set that I'm doing for Prism, the rainbow out of that, that has a total of 46 parallels. I have 42 of them. Yes, that's almost done. However, a lot of the 2019 stuff was Select, Prism. I'm trying to think of the other two that he's part of. I don't have a lot of those parallels. I have a few of them, but I focused a lot on 2021 because you're able to find a lot more of it because it's closer, when I really originally first started.
Yeah.
Going for that rainbow, which that rainbow did start with. I was at a card show here in Richmond, and I was gifted like 3 of the rainbow in one day. And I was like, wow. You know what? I guess I just gotta go for this rainbow. And it's funny, as I was gifted the smaller parallel ones, and there was another one that was like, I think the Purple Power out of 49 was in the room, and I was just like, so as soon as I picked it up, I'm like, all right, I'm going full force. So I've had experience going full force before. I don't know if Ryan remembers this or not, but I actually was a super collector in Beckett for Brandon LaFell. Like
I remember your LaFell collection.
Yep. I was the super collector, according to Beckett, of Brandon LaFell. I had over, I think, 100 101s of his.
Wow.
And so much other stuff and everything. The collection was monstrous because I kept getting into group breaks, of course, because I'm a DGen like the majority of us. And I kept getting the Panthers and pulling his stuff. Or I opened a box and all of a sudden I pulled stuff. So I just went that route, and it just turned into an obsession. And as soon as he was really funny, because I had no ties to him at all. As soon as he got traded, I think he got traded to the Patriots, sold the whole collection to a diehard Patriots fan, and I was just like, it's yours now. But I still have a copy of the Beckett, in my collection, whatever, showing that, I was the super collector of Brandon LaFell.
That's awesome, man. What a cool backstory and everything. All right. So, Mr. Ryan, you've been waiting patiently. I will ask you those 2 same questions. So some of your first early memories of how you got into collecting.
I got into collecting, and I apologize, Alex, he's heard this story a million times, but I have all older sisters. I grew up in a single parent household, and my mom prioritized cards for me. Like, we grew up super poor, and she let me go. I remember Value City Furniture for like 1990 upper deck baseball hangers and things like that. And like, she would like let me get packs here and there. And she would tell my sisters, like, hey, while you're destroying his Lincoln Logs and flushing his micro machines down, that like leave his cards alone. And so, yeah, so I started around 4 or 5 years old, and kind of like Alex, I did have a little bit of a hiatus in between, but I've always been a collector of things. Both of my parents were hoarders, so I think a lot of people, I think if you interviewed people within the card collecting community, you'd find out that a lot of us have the collector gene. So I
Yeah.
harnessed the energy of the hoarder and organized it to other things. So I also got into like stamps and coins, and at one point I had a very prolific Star Wars action figure set. Like I'd be the nerd that bought two of the same ones so I could open one and keep the other one sealed and like dusted them and things like this. You know, normal things for a middle schooler.
Totally.
Then got into, gosh, memorabilia, and that took up a lot of space, too much space almost. So I remember very vividly going back to cards in 2009. One of my friends, Josh Roberts, asked me one day to go to Ball Cards in Greenwood, Indiana. And one pack got me right back into it. I bought a pack of '09 UD SP Authentic, and I pulled a Matthew Stafford RPA out of 25. And
Heck.
like Alex, been pedal to the metal ever since. He and I both got into YouTube around the same time, which was right about then. And so we're the OGs who were just doing mail days and sending care packages to each other. And I think we both got onto Instagram about the same time, where sometimes I have a very boring 9-to-5 job. So this is a good creative outlet for me and a way for me to help build community and share the playbook knowledge with other collectors for a hobby I'm deeply passionate about, have been forever. So yeah, man, started back at like Value City Furniture, getting like $2 hanger packs.
Right.
And
right. When packs actually used to be $2 too.
yeah, I mean, but you got what you paid for. But yeah, it's evolved to something almost unrecognizable today, but there's so much of it that I still love so much. And I have a 7-9-year-old son, and I'm trying to pass that on to the next generation and get them involved too. So it's been awesome.
That is awesome. And can you tell us a little bit sort of about what your focus as far as collection today is?
Yeah, so I'm still, as I listed off these random things that I still have an itch for collecting of a lot of things, so not just sports cards. So I recently got into Funko Pops. It's a whole problem. Director of digital product at Regal Cinemas. So I'm getting those now. They get sent to us on occasion for different movies that we represent. So I've got that. I've got sports cards. I still do memorabilia, both mini helmets, baseballs, jerseys, the like. I'm just trying to find the best way to display them. In this house that I moved into 4.5 years ago, and still haven't figured out how I want to display things. But no, my main set that I chase is 0304 UD Exquisite RPA tribute set out of 25. It's they come out with it every year, like Goodwin Champions and different hockey products, and it spans all different sports, both Hall of Famers, future Hall of Famers, and they're all patch autos, on-card autos out of 25. Like, you can't beat it. I think it's one of my all-time favorite, cleanest designs with 0304 Exquisite. The fact that they're still like pumping it out years later in the Cup and Exquisite and all these other sets. It's really fun for me. And then for my sons, it gives them something to like be narrowly focused into if we go to trade shows. You know, it's easy to get lost in the sauce of all the ultra modern. So for them to go to a show, next time you go, it's so hard to find Upper Deck. Not even just like modern, but like old Upper Deck, because it's good stuff. Like, it's game used. It's actually game used. Not this new trend of people ripping off the jerseys and seeing who's on the back. Like, it's actually game used. They'll tell you it was, and sometimes they'll even get to the level of like, oh, it was played when the Bills played the Raiders on, this day, and he had passed for this many yards. Like, it brought you closer to the game. Upper Deck did that better than anyone else for a long time. So that's what I'm instilling in them. But we have everything from super vintage to ultra modern in the house. So we're a collector of all things.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that. That's so cool. Well, thank you for sharing that, Ryan. So let's get into sort of the meat and potatoes, right? Like, we were all sort of talking independently on social, and we were like, oh, like, let's talk about shows and this and that. And I was like, let's just all hop on and sort of do more of a roundtable style of this and figure out, what the good is, what the bad is, where we think things are going. So let's kick it off. Alex, I'll have you start, but I'm curious, sort of, what's your best show of 2024?
Ooh. So 2024, I got to experience a lot of different shows in a lot of different locations, starting off, early in the year, being able to go to, Culture Collision in Atlanta, Dallas, to all the way out to, the Burbank show, which is, the West Coast West Coast Card Show now out in Las Vegas, Los Angeles. It's really funny. It's like I covered the United States like this. I didn't go into right here minus Cleveland for the national.
Yeah.
Right. And I stayed away from Ryan's area for some reason and not so much, going in the middle America. So I'm hoping to do that somewhat this year. So for me, because of all the different things I get to do with card shows and stuff like that, and I had a little bit different experience for like CSA, CSA show in Chantilly, it is my closest regional show. I have to say, that's probably one of my favorite shows because I get to interact more with athletes and stuff like that in the back rooms. And, I have an up close personal relationship with, the owners of the show and everything else. So I'd have to say my favorite ones were definitely my closer regional shows, but a lot of them, each of them have, something out there that, was more unique and everything else. And the majority of shows I went to were really good last year.
Yeah. No, I will second that. There's so many strong candidates, right? But I've also seen some of the footage and stuff, Alex, from those shows with you. And like you said, you get some pretty exclusive access, and that's really cool to be able to rub elbows with those athletes, man. That's really awesome. All right, Ryan, you are on the spot, my friend. What was your favorite or best show of 2024?
That's a really tough answer. Like Alex said, there's a lot of great promoters out there. The hobby's constantly being elevated. I started off the year, all of them that he listed, we were syncing up at all those. I had a pretty unique experience at the beginning of the year to help broker the deal of the Brawny 1-of-1 to PWCC at Burbank, and that still wasn't my number one. I'm going to sound like a real basic Karen answering this. I'm going to say the National. Like the National for me is always kind of like the home run of home runs. To Alex's point, you get a lot of these regionals or these super regionals, and you get to see a lot of people that especially all of us who like intentionally coexist and try to build our community out and our network out nationally. But it's at the National that everyone comes to. So it's always kind of like a family reunion. And this last year was super special for me because both of my kids. Hey, Grayson, come here. Real quick. Hold on. He's wearing. I didn't even plan this.
Let's bring him in.
He wore this to school today. Look at this. I got them all shirts that say "My First National" with
That's
my logo
awesome.
on top. All right, get out of here. No, for real, go. Don't touch me. It was super special for me because, like I said, I've been in the hobby since I was 5. So to take them to their first national and to see the overwhelming positivity, there's so much negativity that happens in this hobby, and you'll embody it if you surround yourself with it. And I don't at all. I know where it exists and I avoid it at all costs. And I'm trying to show them that too. I'm trying to shepherd them to positivity that exists in this space. So to take them there and almost like every little inch we went to, it was like, man, first day we didn't even get through 15% of this place because we had so many people just running up, giving us hugs. Hey, I remember you on YouTube when you were a baby holding a Mike Trout Bowman first auto. I'm like, that's so crazy. The National was awesome. I would say the VIP experience and the parking situation was really fakaked. But outside of that, the National itself is always kind of a home run for me.
Yeah. No, I gotta agree with you, man. Like Alex, you mentioned Culture Collision to start off the year. That's actually where the three of us met originally.
We have a story for that.
Media, there's a whole funny story. Alex and I were doing a scavenger hunt for a piggy banks card.
That's amazing.
He and I both ended up head first, feet up in a planter trying to get it from Dan the Great Curator. But that's for another podcast.
Going to the next question.
Yeah, right. The Burbank or West Coast Card Show always just has so many cool, positive vibes. But I got to agree with you, Ryan. For me, the National last year was really special. I have, been a collector for a while, my whole life, but I got back into it pre-pandemic. I started working with Jeff Wilson and Sports Card Investor for a couple of years, and I'd been to them in the past years, but I was working. And so this past year was really the first time I was able to experience it how I wanted to, not stuck at a booth, and to be able to build those relationships and meet so many cool people. That was just really special, and it like we talked about, this hobby is amazing for the things that we're passionate about that we collect, but way bigger than that are these relationships that we build. And so that really sticks out to me sort of as probably the top one that'll stick in my head for right now. Oh yeah, dude, look at you, Alex. You got the National card I got to do with Mantle. Shout out to Mantle and Evan and Q and the whole crew over there. Yeah, he's
Dude,
rocking
so
it hard.
you were standing right outside of the
Booth.
our recording studio, and he got to talk to you, and I was wrangling my kids in Slab Mania. I never got that card.
Yeah.
I'm bitter.
We'll have to see, one day to track one down for you, Ryan.
Okay.
That'd be cool. Actually, you know what? If we're gonna do that,
I gotta have it as a safe search on eBay soon. Yeah.
here's the piggy banks card we wrestled for.
Dang. Okay.
Well, so there's and I don't think that's the only one of that, right?
Yeah.
There's a couple others because, like, I know Curator's got like a gold one, and maybe
Okay.
you've seen one other, but there's not a lot.
Yeah, I didn't see. I don't think that was an actual official release. But I don't know if you heard. I mean, I've told the story. Like, I got a runner-up consolation prize. Piggy Banks actually reached out to me directly, saying, "Hey, I loved your passion, how much you did, and everything else like that." And I got to pick one. So here was my consolation Gundam style Mickey Mouse.
And that's a very desirable piece, man. That's a cool one.
It is. There was multiples that he got me to look over and everything and decide between. And like I always say, like Mickey Mouse, Charizard, all these other, characters, they're ones that people are going to remember for a long time.
Yeah.
Right. So, it was an easy decision. This is definitely not going anywhere anytime soon.
Totally. That's awesome. Well, that is definitely a memory that I will never forget.
It was awesome.
And it's a cool way that we all first connected. So speaking of, we talked about the best. I want to talk a little bit about the bad. Not that any show's ever bad, but I'm curious to hear from your guys' perspective. And Ryan, maybe you can go first this time, but was there any sort of major miss or something that you thought could seriously be improved on besides the parking at the National?
Listen, I want to speak a little bit on the parking at National. It corrected itself after that first day, right? Because of the trade nights were happening every night after that, right? So a lot of people were staying in the building. It's just that first day was ridiculous. Look back at Mojo Sports' his Instagram, the live. He was going live because I decided to drive him to his hotel, and we were stuck in traffic, and it was hilarious. But Ryan, you got it. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I don't know if this is going to be too much of shots fired. I know Alex knows where I'm going with this.
Let it go, man. Let it go.
I'm letting it go. Culture collision. I'm going to say it. The beginning of the year last year, Raph, I think, he's built an exceptional brand. I think in a great city that's one of the most booming up and coming card cities in the country. You have like Las Vegas, Miami, Atlanta. They're all in kind of that same discussion of like 1B behind the New Yorks, the LAs, whatever. Atlanta's huge, and he's done such a great job, and he's invested so much of himself and his time. But there was a bit of a miss, a huge blemish for me from a promoter's perspective with this razzle dazzle game that was Alex and I both witnessed while we were there. 3 Point Sports Cards out of Richmond, Virginia. We were there with Matt Card Collection. It all unfolded with the police and yada yada yada, and it was bad. It was so bad, and for the optics, it was really bad. And how it was handled PR wise was like even worse. So that we were there, and loads of people lost money to find out the fact that like it happened at the exact same booth at the show prior. All I'm going to say is I'm letting the judicial system shake out the way it is. But those of us who have eyes and ears can like unravel this. Every promoter, especially all of them that are walking around the room on that first day, they know the people that are in the room. Even if you didn't coordinate every single person that put asses in seats, you walked around the whole room. So to say that it was unbeknownst to you and you had no idea that this was happening. It happened 2 shows in a row, and lots of good people lost a lot of money. I personally, living 3 hours away from Atlanta, will never be attending Culture Collision again. And that's super sad because I think the potential is through the roof.
Yeah. And, so I'm good friends with Raph, and I think that team, like you said, puts on a top class show. Obviously, everything hindsight's 2020, and we can all learn from our mistakes. I'm actually excited to be going back down there, for this next one that's kicking off. So hopefully, they've rectified the situation. Hopefully, everybody's learned from what's happened, and they don't have that going forward. So, obviously it's too bad that happened and that it has a bad taste in your mouth, but hopefully, they'll figure it out and move forward with a positive manner. But, I think it's important though to shed light on those things because, like you said, when people are getting their money taken from them, maybe not in the right ways, and that's not cool on any level. So,
for sure.
Alex, what do you have as sort of a miss or something that could be improved on in 2024?
Just to counter, what Ryan was saying, whatever, the team for Culture Collision right down there and everything, the marketing, everything else, and the whole show was incredible, minus that one little blemish, right? I really, really enjoyed myself down in Atlanta. It's the first time I've ever been to a show down there and everything, and what they put on and everything was incredible. And I'm excited to see, what this show brings for people, posting online stuff. I'm not going to be at the show, this year because there's a big Virginia Beach show happening the same weekend, which is only 2 hours for me rather than, all the way down in Atlanta. But for me, this past year, a lot of those individuals, and Ryan will probably know where I'm going with this because he had his interactions with them too. So at the beginning of last year, I made a video of I'm no longer going to be supporting a promoter in my area, Michael Christopher. He's with Tidewater Collectibles, Sports Cars and Collectibles. He is a promoter that I strongly believe should not be in this industry. All he cares about is the money. He doesn't care about his vendors at all, and it is widely known in this area that the type of promoter he is. He only tries to force as many tables as possible in there and does not care about the people that are coming to the show. His shows have been declining lately, and he will say otherwise. But when you promote that you're going to have like 100 tables and only have 50, over and over again, or saying it's going to be 500 and there's only like 400, and there's barely any foot traffic and stuff, like, because his words specifically was, I'm the one that gets the venue. You're the ones that should be promoting it and getting the people there so then they can buy his stuff from you. I'm like, that's not a promoter. So I came to Instagram. I made a long video talking about it all and how I believe his greed and everything is getting the best of him. If anyone wanted to go out and still support him, they could. And I'm no longer, set up at his shows. Now, luckily, I have plenty of other avenues. I'm doing a million different things going every other way. And we do have other people in this area, down in Virginia Beach, up closer to CSA, all the way down in North Carolina too, with Inside Pitch, who I was just with this past weekend, which I wrote an article on for Sports Illustrated about the show. And, there's a lot of really good promoters out there that just aren't getting the love. And I just want the ones that I feel just need to figure out another path, just to want either leave our area or figure it out, man. Like, come to your senses and understand, everyone's talking about you, and maybe you should, look in the mirror instead of, trying to deflect.
Yeah. Well, I give you guys both a lot of credit for sticking up for what you believe in, right? And I think that's really important. But I also think, with any of this stuff, the hobby is a very small circle, even though it feels big at times. It's a very small, tight-knit community. And, we all have to stand up for our own name and conduct ourselves however we choose. And, when people are sort of a bad egg, potentially, like, you're saying, Alex, that stuff works itself out, so yeah, I hope for his sake, he can turn things around. But other times it just isn't the case. So we'll see how that plays out, but it's good to know that you have lots of other avenues to be able to enjoy the show scene with, for sure. I want to chime in with my biggest miss. And this actually is not shitting on anybody except myself. And the reason for that is I did not take the initiative to get out to New York for the Fanatics Fest. It was a really expensive show, so I can't blame myself for that. But everything that I saw, everything that I heard, just what that experience was for collectors, for just sports fans, it seemed so cool. And I really try not to get FOMO, but I fully have FOMO for missing out on that show. So that is my, okay. I got it from Ryan too.
Me too. So hard. Listen, like, man, I don't want to, I'm sorry for interrupting.
No. Like, go, dude. This is the whole point.
But there were so many people that were just, I was one of them. Is like, after the national, I was like, man, kind of like, how rude really of Fanatics to say, after all these people, right? If you zoom out and say, first off, you're going back into the school year for a lot of people. Half the country's already back in school. A lot of these people have already removed themselves from their family dynamic for a week, spending $10,000 plus in operational costs to set up at the national. And, oh yeah, but in 2 weeks, go back at it. I thought the timing was crazy. The considerations were crazy. It should have happened sooner. That's what they're doing this year. And I was like, man, and they didn't really market to it well. They kept on blowing it up on ESPN and all these other things. And I was like, man, like, I don't know anyone going. And then they went to the floor with it. They made that a loss leader of 2024. Zero fucks given. They were giving out free tickets on Whatnot, and they went hard. That's the only thing I saw on my Instagram feed for like a month. And obviously they had a lot of people that came out for it. And as I'm seeing like Alex and other buddies of ours in the space share, and I was like, oh my god, that's amazing. I was so mad. I was just like, man, I thought this thing was going to be a bust, and it was all gas. It was so good.
Yeah. I like you're saying, I was there, and it was Fanatics Live, but they were giving out, free tickets, not Whatnot, by the way, since that's their platform. Just want to correct you on that.
Whatever.
Details.
But
let me remind you, the antitrust suit's still alive.
Yeah. So again, I want to make sure everyone's fully aware. Yeah, Fanatics Fest was incredible, but Fanatics Fest is not a card show. Fanatics Fest is a fan festival, supposed to be like Comic-Con type of experience, right?
We still had FOMO. Don't take that from us.
I know this, but I'm just making sure all the listeners and the viewers out there understand this.
That's a good point, Alex.
There was a card vendor room.
It is a fan festival that had sports cards there. Okay.
Yeah.
And in the process is they're going to expand the card area, but the overall essence of all the activations and everything else for all the leagues and stuff like that is more of an experience. And then coming over, hey, by the way, there's tons of cards over here too for you to deal with that also. So I told everyone, I told Ryan, he said he tried his best and he couldn't get there. And I was like, it's their first one. It's like, we have to go see it.
Listen, I was unemployed for 7 months in 2024. Things I wasn't really advertising on my IG. I was trying to find the craziest of ways to man, if I did DoorDash and got this many handyman jobs and this many this, and I could sleep on that guy's floor, and I couldn't make it. I couldn't make it work. But Zach and I missed out on both the fandemonium and the card aspect of it. And it sounds like we're all going to be there this year.
Listen, everyone tries to do whatever they can to get wherever. I mean, I got ridiculed by individuals because me and Mac Card Collection stayed at I think it's called Pods or something. That was right there in near Times Square. We stayed in bunk beds in a little room that had bunk beds, whatever. I'm like, listen, I just need somewhere to sleep and wash my butt in the morning. That's it. And then I'm doing everything else away from the hotel. So
bunk beds, it leaves more room for activities, Alex.
Well, no, I mean, when I said little, like we had enough room barely. We're changing inside in the bunk and everything. I mean, it was small, but it got the job done.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one thing, though. And that, like you, Ryan. I had spent a part of 2024 figuring out where I was going professionally again. Right. I had a great run with Sports Card Investor. Really proud of the work that we accomplished there, our market movers and some of the other things. But it was time to move on, and I needed to figure out what was going on. So that show, the major downside is that it is cost prohibitive. New York is not cheap. And so especially for me where I really have to fly, on top of hotels and on top of getting in there, that adds up. And so with all of these shows too, I've talked to other guests, we're talking a lot about big shows, these major national shows. Alex, you brought up some local stuff, which is really cool. My local show, shout out John at Denver Card Shows. They do a really great job. But
Westminster, right? Westminster.
Yeah, exactly.
Hell yeah.
But it's important too that, for people watching, you don't have to go to these big shows. They're really cool. It's a great networking opportunity, but you can do a lot of really great stuff at your local shows too. But just trying to keep that in mind, keep it in perspective, and everybody should hobby how they need to hobby, and like I said, there's nothing wrong if you can't make it to the big ones, but yeah, it was definitely the FOMO. And Alex, I appreciate you clarifying, because that is a big thing. When I had EJ on, no longer with them, but the clarification that Fanatics Fest was just that. It was for fans. It wasn't just about collectors. And I will be interested to see as we move forward into 2025 if there will be any of the collectible specific shows from Fanatics or not, but we'll have to see. So all right, let's talk about sort of, we talked about maybe the bad, but I want to hear maybe sort of what was the coolest part of a show that you guys saw in 2024, be it innovative, be it an experience, be it something like that. And Ryan, why don't you kick us off?
Okay. I was thinking about this, and I was thinking to myself, what are some of the innovative things over the years that have happened? And I'm thinking to myself, the advent of like card ladder and 130 point, right? That changed the card game. Digital payments changed the card game. Zion cases changed the card show
Shout
scene.
out Clint.
Shout out Clint, keeping us in our cards well protected. But I'll say this year for me, it's not even close. This is pretty. I have 3 examples with me, but Alex and I saw throughout the year at different shows. Tag, right? No shade to them. Presently, I wouldn't send any of my cards to get graded for ROI purposes. But what they did do was create. Listen, they saw that a lot of people who share their face on screens are actually narcissists, and we would love to see ourselves on cards or our loved ones on cards. And you know what? It was huge. So when we were out in, I was out in Burbank with the 101 Brown Brownie, and I was literally 12 hours removed from a pretty extensive surgery, very high on opiates, with a cane, and just doing my best to give my best. They did these for the first time ever. They did this was free for VIPs. Is they would do a personalized and on the back. What a cool memento from a big show. You're right. I'm a lover for the for the smaller shows, but this was such a cool remember. And then I went to the national, and boom, now I have one of both of my sons from their first national.
Yeah,
And they did something special. I think the most innovative thing to come out of a card show, especially the big card show scene. As far as I know, nothing prolific happened in the small regional aspect of it, but for the bigger shows, Tag, that was awesome.
that's a killer. I love it. And it was an amazing idea. You know, the custom card stuff is really starting to take off, and Tag really did it in an amazing way. Like those are high quality cards,
They're
slab.
so great.
It's a beautiful product. So I think that's a great candidate, Ryan. Good job.
Thank you.
Alex, what do you have as far as innovative or cool feature that you saw?
We got to shout out, Burbank Card Show, West Coast Card Show now. The fact that every show they do something different. Like,
Yeah.
that they had that. And then the last one that I got to go to the first time, they partnered with Canvas Marketing, with Will and them, and did the Steph Curry, VIP stuff. And then the very next one, they're partnering with Kakawao, which is pretty cool. Exclusive cards directly from that manufacturer. So shout out to them.
Like Disney and stuff too. Like,
correct.
Yeah.
Right. So that's wild. That the team there does that. They're doing an incredible job. Both of mine. So when I thought about it, were 2 different things. 2 things that stood out the most for me for the shows. Whatever. They both came from the national. Right. I'm highly into group breaks. Okay. And, I'm DJing. I've always been around group breaks and love opening packs and stuff like that. It's wild. But this isn't the one I thought of. I just want to talk about it. The setup that the Whatnot had in the back area of the National looked like a sports book.
Was it Gambler's Paradise back there?
Oh my
Yeah,
God. The screen with all the active breakers at one time just looked like you were at a sports book at a casino, and all of them going crazy at the same time. That was really cool to see. You don't have to be in love with breaking and understand it, whatever, and everything else, but just seeing that was pretty cool. Yeah. But the thing that I loved the most about the whole year, and actually it seems it happens every year. It's just I was more included in it than normal, and Ryan's going to contest to it too, is the V Friends booth that was at the National.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Gary V is that one. He is a figurehead in the world, not just this hobby, and in everyday life for a lot of individuals. He is that person that sat there all day long, all the days, and talked to every single person that wanted to talk to, took pictures, took videos, everything. And the interactions that whole team had there with their card set and learning how to play the game and everything else. I have never sat around something that I didn't know that much about as much as I did at the National this year. And that was probably one of my biggest highlights of the year for a show.
Yeah, I give a shout out to Gary Vee on that too. Not only did his team sit down with my kids and spend copious amounts of time like teaching them the game, playing along with them, but like Gary, and I thought about this last year, the first time I met him. I've been following him on different forms of social media just from a motivational perspective for a long time, many years. before I even thought about him in the card space. But last year, I remember like passing by him. I was getting a card of his signed for a friend of mine who couldn't attend the Chicago National, and he was on the way to the restroom, and he stopped. He was very captivated. He made eye contact. He shook my hand. And he was high energy, and he talked and he signed. To be able to do that for, I don't know, 14 hours, 15 hours plus a day, like one day would be hard. We'd be gassed, right? Yeah, most of us who are not conditioned for that. He did that for 6 days straight. The dude's a savage, a straight up. I pack ward him, beat his ass, and he, like went on to the next guy. And, like that team was. I agree with Alex. That was a very very cool experience. I now have 5 Gary V. I bought 2 packs. I was like, this guy could literally sell me snake oil. And I'd be like, cool, I have a PC of snake oil now, and Gary Vee has signed 3 bottles, 3 vials of snake oil. I'm here for it. I have autos of him in the house right now, and I'm like, I don't care that they're on cards that don't make sense to me. It's what they mean and what he embodies, and how he challenges us all to be better versions of ourselves. I'm here for that every day that ends in Y.
Yeah. No, I had the same experience with him. I got a chance to go over and spend my minute chit-chatting and getting a selfie and all that stuff. And he was beyond gracious, and to your point, Ryan, that takes a ton of energy and effort, when you're working these trade shows and not just working them, right? Just being there and casually talking to people and answering questions at a booth is tiring enough. But then to literally have a line in front of you the entire time and being engaged, genuinely engaged with every person is pretty spectacular. So huge shout out to him. I don't want to beat a broken record, but my sort of vote goes out to the Burbank guys. Shout out Rob and Jay and Will with Canvas Marketing and Ken, for creating the artwork. But I really think I've never seen a show pass, and that's what it was. It was your pass. It was your VIP badge. Bring so much energy, excitement, and buzz to a card show. People were waiting in line because the way it worked is if you were VIP, you got a special ticket and you went over to a place to redeem your ticket. And these were all, shout out Tag for their custom card stuff, right? They had them all vacuum sealed and slabbed up. Some were autographed and some were just regular cards and some were variations, but people would wait in line. They get to pick one, rip their pack. And obviously when you had the hits, people went nuts. And above and beyond going nuts, there you go. Yeah, you got that's the assassin one. Yep, that's cool, Alex.
Yeah, baby-faced assassin. This is the gold swirl. It's actually numbered out of 30.
There you go.
Number.
Wild.
So you wouldn't know what you got, but I think there was 4 different variations of artwork. And then on top of that, like Alex said, there's variations of each card that were numbered. But I've never seen buzz about passes. And then above and beyond that, there was a whole secondary market that was created for these things that went bonkers.
It was bonkers. like he's saying, like I got to, I shot a lot of, footage of it and everything. I did a whole reel of people, pulling them and stuff like that, while I was there because, because I was talking, with them while they were doing it. And a lot of people don't know it says with Canvas, right. But he didn't design this, it's little Costco creations.
Yeah.
Himself.
Ken Coscuela. Yep.
Ken is the one that actually designed these and everything, and using the power that Canvas has with the ability to use Curry's image and stuff. That's why they came together, and everything. But like Zach was saying, like the secondary market, people were waiting. Like this one guy with just stacks of cash were waiting for people to pull these autos because he was trying to buy them all up. And the secondary market was crazy because it was like 4,000, 5,000. Apparently. One sold for like $50,000, later on at the end of I don't know if it did or not, but there was a video showing that it did, but it was wild. And again, the innovativeness of this is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool. Well, so we end 2024 on a high note, right? There was some really cool stuff that happened and let's shift focus to the new year though. So I would love to know what will be the first show you're attending to, and then what show are you most looking forward to? Ryan, why don't you start us off, man?
First show I'll be attending is this weekend. But it could be up in the air because the South doesn't know how to handle snow. I spent most of my life in cold weather states, in Colorado and Indiana. So literally like a half an inch of snow will close down Tennessee, South Carolina, North Carolina, Atlanta. That's posing to be a problem because we're supposed to get snow on Friday and Saturday. I was hoping to get to Greenville, South Carolina, and then jaunt over to Atlanta for Cards HQ Trade Night. So we'll see if that's the one. But the one that I'm most looking forward to, I do marketing for Best Card Shop out of Indianapolis, Plainfield area, if you're familiar with there. So we'll be at Fanatics Fest and then the National. So I'm most excited for the Fanatics Fest. I have family in the Long Island area, so it's going to be a very cool hang out with family, go to the show, get my kids involved. Maybe they can give Tom Brady the middle finger. We're Colts fans. Not a big deal. I know I saw that it was canceled.
Yeah, that he was just talking about, how the weather and everything there. Just, they've already canceled one in Nashville.
They've already been canceled. Okay, so it is Tuesday. Whenever this releases, this is Tuesday, January. I don't know because I have nothing on my Outlook. It's Tuesday. They're projecting 5 inches. Listen, fellas, no woman has ever lost their mind over 5 inches. We've already shut down a show on Saturday.
I haven't had work. I haven't had work for 2 days over like 3 inches.
I drive an 08 Elantra and I've driven in a foot of snow. Okay. The South and all of their dualies and big old trucks on lift kits can't handle 5 inches. They've already closed it on Tuesday. Snow hasn't even dropped. I don't know, man. That's a long answer. You asked where am I going? I don't know. I'm waiting to see if 2 inches is shaking people in their skin. I don't know.
well, hopefully you'll find a substitute, Ryan. That'll be good, man. Alex, how about you, man?
What's night, right, Fanatics?
Yeah, there you go. What do you got for first show, and what are you most looking forward to?
First show actually happened this last weekend. I was in Raleigh, North Carolina for Inside Pitch Promotions. It was a big 400+ table show down at Fairgrounds. Like I said, I wrote an article on Sports Illustrated for it. What I'm going to do, I'm doing the show circuit and going around to a lot of different shows and everything. And I'm going to make a series of like a roundup of all the shows that I do. After I go to the show, I'm going to compile everything together and then post it on there, because a lot of these other shows, especially the smaller shows, like I said, they just need more love, more national attention and stuff for people that possibly don't know that's in the area or within a couple hours of that show. Right. Trying to help these promoters out as much as possible I can with a platform that I just so happen to be on now. So it's an incredible show down in North Carolina. It's only a 2-hour drive down Interstate 85 for me. They had 1,000 people through the door within the first hour. Like, it's wild. It was for a 2-day show down in North Carolina. They had over 4,000 people come through on that first weekend.
The hobby is alive.
I always tell everybody, and I say it in the article, that first weekend, it's people either have FOMO of not going to shows for last month because there's lack thereof shows, near the end of the year, or they have money burning into their pocket because they're after the holidays. They get money from their family or friends or whatever like that, and ready to go crazy. And it also depends on the marketing for the promoters and stuff. And the ones there did an incredible job. Katie and her team just killed it. So that was the first one I went to, and I'm getting ready in a couple weeks. Might as well say another one is the White Plains show up there. Winter Extravaganza is another bigger 400+ table show. I'm going to that. I'm going to be doing media coverage for them. First time actually going to that show, so I'm pretty sweet. I'm pretty sure I'm going to run into a few familiar faces up there. Maybe basketball card guy gonna make an appearance because it's right next door to him.
What up, John?
What up, John? And a few others. So, but I'm looking forward to it's cliche, like the National. Looking forward to seeing everybody. Back in Chicago, the being able to jump around from trade night to trade night after the official ones at the hotels right there next to the National, where in Rosemont, is incredible. Plus, once that's over, everyone decides to go eat something or go straight to the casino that's right up the road at Rivers, and you see the whole hobby, the whole industry is at the casino at the whole time. Is just, I love it.
They can gamble all day with cards and all night with money.
Right. It's wild.
D10's doing D10 things.
It's all those other little things that are outside of it. Like, I know. So this past year, a sports card couple, Caitlin and I, put together a nice little prior to the national starting, we were there in Cleveland. We got to go to, we want to start making an annual thing, going to the ball game the night before if you're in town.
Game. Yeah.
Yeah, we went to the Guardians game. And this year, before the national, the White Sox are in town. They're playing her team, the Phillies. It's just like, this is just like, it's just writing itself, right? So, the possibility of doing it again the night before the national starts, Tuesday night, going to the White Sox game. But while you're still at the national, the Cubs come in town that weekend. So people might be able to experience both while they're there. So that I love that aspect. And that's another thing I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really cool, Alex. And, I do think, not to go back, but, one thing, while the Cleveland show was great and it was amazing, when you were at the event, but to your point, outside that venue, it was hard. It was segmented. People sort of broke off and they went to different places. Whereas, like you're mentioning, while people might say that, you need a bigger venue in Rosemont and Chicago and stuff, there is a lot of really nice amenities that are all walkable. And it keeps a lot of people together for a very long time. And that's a pretty special thing. And some of those trade nights get a little too hectic, but
except the Lowe's Hotel. I speak for Mojo. I speak for everyone else who was there. We're boycotting them.
That shut down. Yeah.
They're not for the hobby. Never forget.
If that didn't happen, I wouldn't have made my huge deal for that Brady that I had. It's just remarkable. I took a $200 profit, made $2,000 within 24 hours. It was wild.
I will also say to that incident, because I remember the night before, shut down by the police. It was very well documented. But the next night, there was a trade night that lasted until midnight, and it was started by a 13-year-old. I remember what I looked like when I was 13. I didn't know my head from my ass. I still barely do, and I'm 3x that. My point is, this 13-year-old took the onus on himself to pay. It was like $4,000. Okay, again, I didn't know what that amount of money meant. I grew up super poor. I don't know what that money means. $4,000. Got 40 tables in the room, charged every person $100. So he was out nothing. All he did was coordinate it. I never got to meet the kid, but he should be celebrated.
Entrepreneur of the year.
Holy shit! Last year, so not 24, but 23. Entrepreneur of the year, a 13-year-old saw an opportunity. Lowe's got shut down. They didn't want anyone so he said, "How much to reserve your conference space?" And he did it. And it was packed, and it was amazing. That's where I met LeBron James for the first time, who was also there with, it was a cast member of the Workaholics who was with them. It was so bizarre. But a 13-year-old was like, hey, I'm going to pay for it, charge all these people $100. And it was just like the community was like, we understand the assignment. Let's go.
That's great, man. That's super fun. Yeah, a lot of good memories from all of these nationals. As far as I'm concerned, my first show will be Culture Collision. Like I said, I'm excited and looking forward to that. Shout out Tom, the card carver. He is down there with some custom art pieces that he's always pushing, but he's brought in Chuck Stiles, Marley McFly, maybe a couple others too. But I'm always enjoy spending time with Tom and just, seeing the vibe down there. There's going to be some people who I haven't seen. Like you said, Alex, things towards the end of the year quiet down. So it'll be good to see a bunch of faces. And I haven't done shows since the fall, minus my local Denver show. So I'm excited to get down there. But as far as most looking forward to, the National is up there for sure. It's in my hometown of Chicago. So I get to see friends and family, both, on and off the hobby floor, if you will. But also I'm really excited, not to keep banging the drum, but for this West Coast card show. I am really excited. I'll announce it here. I just talked to Ken and Jay, and they are going to give us some dedicated space on Friday night for trade night, the 14th. So it's Valentine's night, but 7 to 11 after the show, we're going to have a dedicated card artist meetup. So I've been trying to get a bunch of different card artists together to be there. We're going to be able to display our stuff. We're going to be there talking and meeting people. And it's sort of a first of its kind, hopefully on that scale. We'll see. I'm talking to a lot of different guys, but it's really cool that, again, as far as that innovation standpoint, them being willing to say, hey, we'll give you this space, do your thing, and let's see where it goes. So those are the two that I'm probably most looking forward to this year. So stay tuned. I will make some more formal announcements on social media about that. But that was pretty cool and got me jazzed up today to talk to those guys. So, I know we talked about maybe some smaller shows. I know, Alex, you said you hadn't been in the middle part of the country, so I'd like to get you out here to Denver sometime. But do you guys have any shows that you plan to attend this year that are new that you haven't been to? And maybe if so, why? So, Alex, I'll let you actually go first on this one.
Yeah, like I just talked about it, and I'm going to the White Plains shows for the first time.
Cool.
I've always held the East Coast National, right? And everything up in that area has always been a very strong show and everything. So I'm looking forward to that. Ryan doesn't know this yet, so this is kind of breaking news to him. I did talk to you about Charlotte, right? It's the same time frame as the Shipshewana show. So I was thinking maybe that route instead of Charlotte, but I don't know yet.
Let me give you a pro tip on that one. The Shipshewana you want to go to is in September. This one's probably gonna be fun. This is probably good.
Okay,
really good.
So maybe swap that around. So maybe Charlotte also. So I haven't been to the Charlotte show.
You want to go to
Shipshewana
Shipshewana in September? It is the Field of Dreams moment of the hobby. If you've not been there, add it to your bucket list. You go to the trade night. It is the greatest trade night, pound for pound, in the entire United States. Shipshewana, it's in the middle of nowhere, Amish country, north central Indiana. Brad Beeman, Card Collector 2, shout out to that team who've built that out over the years.
Yes.
Pound for pound, best trade night ever. Always do better as a vendor even. Like if I'm a vendor the next day, I do way better at the trade night 100% of the time. It's awesome. That show's worth the weird trip. Put it on your bucket list, Shipshewana in September.
Yep. And not so much a show, but a store opening. So, of course I'm going up New York, and next weekend, not this weekend, coming up. I'm going to stop by, Tyler Santiago's new store, see that or whatever, but that's not the store that I'm talking about. It's when my boys, Ryan and Neil, open up their new shop, RBI Crew 7, that bigger local space. I think I want to try to get out for that grand opening, get out to the St. Louis area and see that. So again, that's now covering the middle, part of the area and stuff like that or whatever. But I am going to have a little bit more opportunities to travel this year because partnering with the Cosmic Baseball, the Tri-City Chili Peppers. If you guys have watched my Instagram stuff, they are traveling all over to Nashville, to Indianapolis. They're going up to Ohio. They're going Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, Texas. They're going to be down in Raleigh. They're going all over.
I think they're coming to Denver, dude. Come on out, man.
No, I don't think they're coming to Denver.
Oh, maybe that's the Bananas. I might be.
The Bananas are coming out there, but give it a year. They're gonna go a little bit farther. But hopefully, I'm gonna be traveling with them, doing some media stuff, and being able to see a couple of these other locations, especially in the Tennessee area, to hopefully cut it up with old Ryan over there. Because people still think we live next to each other, so it's kind of.
Well, before we continue, I want to pause and take a moment, Alex, to say congrats, man, and give you some serious flowers, dude, because, you've got so much cool stuff going on and you've really become an ambassador for the hobby, whether that is, doing, like you said, this baseball stuff or, all the things you've done with Rizzo and you've done stuff with Graybo and now you're writing for Sports Illustrated and you're going to be traveling the country for more coverage. And so, like I said, man, I want to give you some big props, dude, because I think it's really cool that you've taken this passion and you've turned it into, a lot more opportunity. I know you still got some other stuff going on outside the hobby, but you're doing a really great job.
I appreciate it, man. It's that opportunity. I've told a lot of people this recently. This is the first time in my life, I straight out of high school, I joined the Army. I was, kind of not stuck with that, right? But I was kind of limited to the stuff I was able to do. I was married twice and everything. This is the first time in my life, I'm single. My kids are 18 and 19, so they can take care of themselves. And, I'm not tied. My job is a 9 to 5, but I have PTO and everything. If I want to go somewhere, I can do it. I don't have to ask anyone. I don't have to ask permission and everything else. The only thing is majority of it's the logistical side of the house of, if I can get to those places and have a place to stay and stuff, whatever, that's all I need. I don't need to be paid for any of this stuff and everything else. I will work my butt off because I enjoy it. I enjoy being around the collectors, around the athletes, around everybody in this hobby and stuff. So, majority of this stuff, a lot of this has been on, Ryan can contest, on us. It hasn't been people that have been behind us getting us to places and stuff like that. Recently I've had the ability to have others being able to, reach out and do some stuff. But other than that, it's just, this is my passion. This is stuff that I love. And for the first time ever, I'm able to actually just like, you know what, I'm going to go there this time.
Well, I think it's amazing, man. So congrats on all the success, and keep doing your thing, man. It's really, your passion and love for it shows through. So good job. All right, Mr. Ryan, tell us new show that you might be attending this year, or at least what you hope to.
So similar to Alex, I've been to all 50 states, but for card shows, I'm far less than that. I have covered both the East Coast and West Coast, the South, the far North. I need the middle. I need Iowa. I need Minnesota. I need Wisconsin. Like good, salt of the earth, Midwest. I know there's a lot of very large, there's large show, good promoters out there that are growing that region out. And really, as I make fun of Nashville for losing their mind over 5 inches or 3 inches or what other stupid amount of snow. Those parts of the country, when you see snow, you see exponentially more people show up. So I spent most of my life in Indianapolis, and when you saw that white dust in the air, you're like, hell yeah, we're gonna have a good show today. Nashville closes their doors. Indianapolis is, we're gonna be bursting at the seams, so there's nothing else to do. So I'm saying the Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin, I don't know, throw the Dakotas in there. Shout out to Mrs. Squirts. There's a handful of other good things happening in the Dakotas. I've been to a lot of shows in outside of that area, so that's where I would like to probably target. I coach both of my sons in sports and all their other activities, so for me, I only normally have a window between February and very early April, and then in the summertime, I'll have like May through August, and I hit it hard. I overcompensate to a fault because outside of that, like I can't really do shows. Like Knoxville doesn't have a big show scene. Atlanta's close; it's a 3-hour drive. Nashville 2 hours, but it's like this one I have to hit it the hardest. So right now in the wintertime is when I'd like to hit that region that I just referred to. And in the summertime, there's all those annual staples, right? You have Nashville, the National, Midwest Monster, now Fanatics Fest, Dallas. Like they're all back to back to back to back to back to back. I'm not thinking about the smaller regional ones, whereas I probably will right now in the wintertime.
Yeah. Well, again, I will extend the invite if you guys want to come out for the Denver show ever.
Hell yeah. I used to set up at that show. We never met. That's so crazy.
I know.
I set up at that show in Westminster so many times.
Yeah, well, it's gotten big now, man. John's done a really good job, and
John's amazing. I love that guy.
Yeah, and what's interesting too is the trend of that show. There's still plenty of sports card vendors, but the TCG stuff is just going bonkers out here, man. Like it is crazy with how many vendors there are and the success. I mean, people are passionate about it, like it's just, it blows my mind, not in like a bad way, but it's incredible to see that growth. And I think it's really cool. And I'm interested to see where that's going to go.
Yeah. I'm seeing that around the country. It's like that everywhere.
Yeah. Shout out to Red Rifle Sports Cards in Denver. I miss him. He's one of my old buddies out there. Yeah, dude, I love seeing what the scene's at. You're right, because I went to a show 2 years ago. I went to a show in Denver, and it was really close to the airport. I'd never seen that before.
Yep.
And it was like 60% TCG. I was like, oh, I did not see this coming.
Yep. So that was the old venue, which was cool because it was close to the airport. They've moved up north now to a different venue, but it's really nice. It's cool because food's right there, and the hotel's nice, and there's easy parking.
Love food. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyhow, so like I said, offers open to both you gentlemen. If you ever make it out, you hit me up and you've got a place to crash. So I like we talked about earlier, I'm going to really try my hardest to get out to Fanatics Fest. That's the one show that I felt I missed out. This year should hopefully be cool. And I know you guys will be there along with a lot of others. So hopefully the pocketbook and logistics can make it work, as well as, family plans. We'll see. So, before we close down our discussion about 25, though, similar to what we saw in 24, I'm curious what you guys would like to see added as a feature, as an experience, or maybe just as a totally crazy idea that you think would be really cool for how we could improve card shows in 25. So, Alex, I'll let you tackle this one first.
I think Fanatics Fest did a really good job last year with it being the fan experience, and involving those, high profile individuals, taking them through the card area at Fanatics Fest, right? You had, Libby Dunn, you had Jake Paul, you had Tom Brady, going
Gronk,
around.
I saw go through.
Gronk, I mean, he spiked his own slab, but
Shout out to Mealy Pops. He did it at their table.
right. You have, the captain, right, had the incredible experience with Tom Brady. He's one of the top Tom Brady collectors in the world. And, got to ask him, about him changing his autograph. And, that went viral, right, and everything. And, he sold him some of his cards and everything. And that experience alone, right? So, I would say, not a lot of shows have the athletes and stuff go to, like a few of the shows around here that I go to, like the Philly show and CSA and, the national, of course, they have the athletes that are signing and stuff. I would say if these shows, that a lot of them don't get on the show floor, have them, if possible, walk the show floor, interact with these individuals more. I know you got to figure out a way so they're not getting mobbed, ask for 1 million autographs, everything else, right? You got to figure out that way possible. But seeing that experience of them walking around, seeing the activations at Fanatics Fest with, I'm telling you, the WWE, when those individuals were doing the walkouts,
yeah,
right, and all of a
Those are
sudden,
crazy.
like, you have back to back, it's just a diehard fan, and the next thing you know, the music comes on for Triple H, and he walks through that door.
I can't even imagine, dude.
Those people, I mean, every time they would sneak them around back and have them come out to their own entrance music, and everyone's just thinking it's just another, fan coming out, and it's that actual character. That place was just even erupting. Like, those type of experiences, include them into these shows around the country, right? Some way, somehow, to more interacting and everything else like that. And I think that's what I'd like to see.
That's awesome. I love it. I think it's important, and I think it's cool, and I think that would be a game changer for sure. Ryan, what do you have, my friend?
I was going to take that answer. Obviously, he and I didn't sync up before this call. That's fine. I'll pick another one. Though I do think the opportunities, even going back to like Hobby Rip Night, I think that's where you're growing the hobby. I'm not even going to say 10x because, like, what a weird thing to say out loud. But when you try to expand into new audiences, like, we want to be closer to the game. We want to be closer, like, we're fans, right? Like, I'm a Colts fan, a Cubs fan, Avs, USC. Like, I'm ride or die. Doesn't matter where I'm at in the country. I'm a fan. Bring us closer to the game. And I think that's where you see this growth organically. What I do love, as much as people want to say what's right, wrong, or indifferent about Big Brother Fanatics, what I will say from a product management experience, that's what I do for my real job. I love it that they have accidentally, or even forcefully in some occasions, inspired this hobby to elevate itself. Now, I won't say necessarily, like, there's so many things that I love about old school shows that I hope never changes. I love the good, we're shaking hands and we're doing cash deals and we're agreeing on terms, and you got these kind of stoic old cases and whatever. Those are great. Like, there's something about the essence I don't ever want to change. But what I do love seeing is other people now, if we're going to start carrying the same cards, people like Buy Nice Cards. You got Mantle. You have your design right here. We have our own logos personally. Like, we're all stepping up our game and building brands that transcend our personalities can tie to, that people can associate to, like an experience you're going to get. You just never used to have that. It used to just be like a bunch of old dudes set up at a show, and they got their old yellow boxes that you could finger fuck and get your way through it, and hopefully we're going to deal with them. But now, like, people are really, like, stepping up their game and the presentation and how they carry themselves and, like, the business savvy, not just like the relationship, but like the building out a brand is super cool. And I love seeing that iterative process happening in the hobby. And now, even like Alex and I have a podcast. You have a podcast. Everyone has a podcast. You have to be a differentiator. And while staying friends and staying amongst friendlies and staying the core, we're all just trying to be like good pillars of the community and grow it and kind of be, but we have to be different. And with that, challenges us in every aspect of everything that we do. And I do love that what's happening right now at the shows. And I hope to see that continue in 2025.
Love that. I think it's awesome. So I'm going to go with something that I've talked about before, and it is to remove some of the stoicness of those cases. I really want to see, and you're seeing this with some of the card shops now, I would love to see vertical displays because everybody at the card shops or the card shows, is crowding around a table. You got to wait your turn to get in there. I think if people could get that up vertically, it would be a game changer. I think just for being able to have people see it more, for it to be more easily, visible when you're walking by, I think it helps out everybody and it's a win-win. So it might seem silly, it might seem a little strange, but I think it'd be a game changer. I really do.
I thought a lot of that at the National actually, and you're right. I'm 6 foot tall. Alex towers over me. Like I'm like, what do you say, bud? What do you want to eat? No, but you go to these shows and it's be 6 foot tall and to have like rows in front of you where I don't have to like crouch my back. That is really nice. So I'm talking to UCM Displays or other companies, BCW. I'm sure they're already designing those if they don't already have something proprietary in nature already. But you're right, I do like that display a lot. Also, I live in a world of and not or. Why not both? You could have the old case and the stand up, and now you've just doubled your real estate. Look at it that way.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll see, man. Obviously, old dogs need to learn new tricks. So we'll see if that happens. Right.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen. Well, this has been amazing. And I want to be, respectful of your time, the audience's time. So as we end our time together, I always like to ask sort of my guests what their best piece of advice is, if you could sort of leave with one valuable tip. So Ryan, I've got you front and center, so I'm going to let you go first, but if you could give that piece of advice to someone, in the hobby, what would that be?
The cards, the deals, all that'll happen. Relationships are number one. Lean into that. Lean into that. Lean into that. Make friends, and continue to build out your network and keep good quality people around you. And it doesn't matter what's happening, what other noise is happening in the space. When you have that community and it's coast to coast and it's virtual and it's in person, it's so invaluable. Lean into the community more than anything else.
Love it. Love it. Alex, what do you have for the audience?
Ryan stole mine.
Touche.
So buy what you want, do what you want, collect what you want. You don't have to listen to whatever anyone says. Look at Ryan's shirt, buy nice cards, right? And
nice is in the eye of the beholder. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Just because it might not look good for you, you might not like it, doesn't mean it's not, someone else's collection, right? So go out there, who cares what other people are doing? We see too much out there of the transactional type of content all over social media and everything. And I think there's a lot of false hope out there if you're going to be able to do these $1,000 deals at every show. You don't have to do them. You don't. Those individuals that are doing now, guess where they started? They started at those little dollar boxes. That's why people like Mojo and Brian and Card Collector 2 and all of them actually do a lot of videos on that stuff because they know those newer individuals that are getting into this hobby, that's where they should be starting. That's where you can do, if you got thousands of cards from a dollar box and you doubled that, you're just making money, period. But again, just do what you want to do. You don't have to listen to anyone else. You don't have to listen to my advice I'm giving you right now, right? Just listen to yourself, right? And do what you want, and you're gonna be fine. If you're happy, you don't have to make anyone else happy. Just make sure you're happy, and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Do it ethically, people. Let's do the caveat as long as it's ethical, and
ethically and safe and all that.
Morally, so
yeah, whatever.
We're not trying to like appeal to sociopaths. Yeah.
No. Well, no, I think that's great advice, and I do think that in the social media age and stuff, it's always the big hits, it's always the big deals. But to your point, sort of hobby how you want it to be. And that's the great thing about it. And whether it's sports cards or TCG or something else, art cards, right? Like whatever that might be, just be passionate about it. And if you do, the rest of it doesn't matter, man.
Sure.
I put three of us up like this because I want to make a disclaimer that you don't have to be an old white guy with a beard to be on the hobby hustle. So, it just.
But it actually looks great.
But it doesn't hurt.
I think we could do like a 3 Bearded Bros brand or something, right?
Ooh.
We'll have to see. We got something coming. Guys, this has been an awesome conversation. I hope that the audience will enjoy listening to this as much as I enjoyed talking to both of you guys, because this is a lot of fun. So I just want to thank you guys for your insight, for your time, and advice. And I hope that, we were able to, inspire some collectors, help some collectors out, and maybe hopefully they'll go check out a new show. So I just want to say thank you. I wish both of you a happy and healthy new year. I'm excited to see what 2025 holds. And I hopefully will see you guys here soon at the show.
Hell yeah. Thanks for having us on.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Be well. Everyone out there watching, thank you for your time. I hope you learned something new or found some inspiration. I hope you enjoyed the show. Please be sure to like, follow, subscribe, and of course, share with your friends. And remember, keep collecting, keep hustling, and we'll see you next week on Hobby Hustle, where business, passion, and collecting collide. Thanks.
Hobby Hustle is brought to you by Collector Creative. If you're a collectible brand or company looking for help with marketing, branding, design, or development, head over to collectorcreative.com and drop Zach a line. We'll be back next week. In the meantime, connect with us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at collector_creative. And be sure to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode. We'll see you next time on Hobby Hustle, where collecting passion and business collide.